All right, man, we're back on with the new stream. The other one had some technical difficulties, nothing that we could not fix. However, we are back. Good afternoon. Happy Monday, Mr. Munir. Welcome back to the company. You had some time off. How did you spend it?
It was a great time off. One of the best time offs that I ever had in my professional career. It was only 5 business days, but so it's plus weekends, 9 days combined. Amazing, really. In the middle of it, there was a major holiday, the biggest holiday we have here in Bosnia, and it's usually a 3 days holiday. I really used it to do some family trips and visit some family that I didn't see in a while. And but everything else, I was totally off the grid. Spent some time at the weekend house that my wife's family had actually, and we went there for a barbecue, and it was really nice. And overall, traveled a bit.
Nice.
Maybe I had combined 1,000 miles driven,
Nice.
but
Wow. That's a lot.
yeah, that's only what our good drivers do in 2 days. Apart from that, I really feel energetic and enthusiastic about weeks and days ahead of us.
Yes, sir. Let's make the most of them. So you had 9 days off?
Yeah,
Are
with the
you
weekends.
subtracting 9 days from your available vacation then?
Uh, yeah, if I count weekends, am I available?
Okay, let's go ahead and dive into this. We're going to recap last week. We ended up having 50 drivers available and active last week, obviously due to the holiday. Our win ratio was 8.69. I think we had some technical difficulties, and that played some role in this, but those things have been ironed out. Win ratio of 8.69 means on average we got to place like 11 bids to win one load. Obviously not great odds, but that's us trying to get our drivers maximum amount on every load. We ended up booking 161 loads, and with the week the way it was, the average driver pay was 1675. Honestly, considering that most of our drivers were affected by that holiday, which was right in the middle of the week, 1675 is not a bad number at all for the average. Obviously, the drivers that really brought that down are the drivers who maybe, took half the week off. And then the other drivers that, we still had top 10 drivers or so with normal earnings as before. Anything before we move on?
Not much here, not much here. Week before this was amazing, so hopefully just fluke. So we'll do our best for this week to be amazing as well.
Yes, sir. So we had 1,900 bids. We had what is that? About 1,200 or so loads that we churned down, that we declined. Um, And going into the week, there's a lot of drivers with high waiting times. The reason that obviously this happens every Monday is because of the holidays, but also because there's a lot of drivers who will just put things on yellow and kind of chill at home. They're not really looking for a load, they're just keeping their options open in case something amazing pops up. Our goal remains to get everyone booked who's actually out and waiting. We lower the rates if we need to get them booked. Any notable long pit times that you're aware of that you guys discussed in the Monday meeting so far?
Most of these guys here, and I can, just looking at back to the meeting and looking at this, most of these guys, almost each and every one of them on the list are home. Not everyone. 023 is in London, Ontario. She lives in Tennessee, so she's been waiting for a load since Saturday morning, pretty much.
Cool.
So it's usually a weekend layover or weekend waiting for loads. It's usually the not that busy throughout the weekend. Everyone else I'm looking at right now is pretty much home.
Awesome. Awesome. We're shooting for a big day today, man, to get everyone's week started the right way. I think a lot of our fleet's ready for a big week as well, so I'm expecting a big one. inshallah. All right, so I wonder, this is probably just last Friday is my guess, um,
Probably, yeah.
that we had. Well, no, it might be actually beyond that because this is just PAPs, so cash shipment into the U.S. There were 10 cleared, 10 available, and PARs, there were 13 total, and 12 of them were cleared. One was delayed. Great job by the operations team. So this was actually the same call out for last week. We hadn't updated. Do you have any driver outside? Because we already discussed Augustine. Do you have any driver, any other driver you want to highlight?
Um, and not nobody that I can think of right now. I thought I was not aware Augustine was already covered. But still, thank you so much, Augustine, for the help here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I went over him last Friday, I believe. Amazing driver. I mean, he's been with us forever. And anytime a driver is able to jump in and assist with something that's outside of the scope of what they normally do, there's extra level of appreciation from our end for that type of stuff. Um, okay, so last week, Haris booked 51 loads, Muhammad 41, and Omer 22. The rest of them were booked by Veda, the weekend guys, and others. But this is the top three. Great job, guys. Haris's average driver pay, especially, is abnormally high, so he must have gotten some really good ones in there. 964 for the average driver pay is well above where we normally are for sure.
Indeed.
All right, you want to go over these?
Right. Yes, I do. Yeah, this is an amazing one, guys. This is one of my favorite loads that we can book. Is coming out of a very very dry area, going to Quebec. Of course, this is not Montreal. It's the driver will need to relocate down to I think in this case Toronto. So it's going to be 1,500 miles for $1,880. Uh, but also there is probably 200 plus miles relocation back to Toronto. So overall, it's going to be close to $1 a mile on this load. But you're getting out of Mississippi going to, in the end, going to Toronto. So amazing load.
Yeah, this is the part of Canada where they pretend not to speak English. So,
Yeah, Waldorf, Quebec. Yeah,
all right, next up is Michigan to Cali. Man, this is a good paying load as well. You don't see too often $1 a mile to California lately. So
indeed.
2,440 miles for $2,410. Obviously, coming out of there, it's about 70 cents a mile is what you should expect. But sometimes, man, you got to focus on the gross numbers rather than the RPMs. Um, Most drivers would rather have this, than and then come out for 70 cents, than get 300-mile loads for $1 or for 90 cents. So
Indeed.
amazing one as well.
And I think the driver booked himself. So
Nice.
he, so if you place a bit over what is suggested and you get it, of course, it's not something that we can guarantee you'll get every time. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe you place a bid and never get it. But
Right.
in this case, the risk has paid off.
Yes, sir. Okay, next one up. Go ahead.
Waterloo, Ontario, going to San Antonio, Texas. It's a nice load because it's going down to Texas. It's coming out of Ontario. On top of this, I know for a fact it's going to driver's home. I think he lived in Dallas. So it's a great load overall. Ontario, 1,720 miles, $1,680.
Indeed. Yeah, Texas has lately been very difficult to get a good price going into it. I have my theories on why. I think there's some shady stuff going on in the industry, in particular when it comes to loads going to Texas. But for us, honest carriers that are following all of the standard, industry rules and policies, um, it's been tough even getting $1 a mile to go to Texas lately. We've had to literally drop down to like 90 cents in most cases. But this is a good one. You're making $1,500, 1,700 bucks in a couple of days. So it's a good one. Um, Okay, next one up. Do not forget to update your after weekend availability. Man, this is such a good thing, and I kind of wish I went over this, I guess, on Friday instead of Monday, but here we are. I see many drivers going out of service on Friday, and they're out of service, and then Monday morning they contact us or they update their app to go back in service, and that's okay. You know, you have the right to that. But here's the thing: if instead of going out of service, you make yourself available with the future availability on Monday, and you do that on Friday, well, then our dispatch team is all weekend looking for loads. And there's a really good chance that before Monday hits, we're going to book you on a load. We have more loads available. We have more of a chance to book you because when a broker posts a load on Saturday, you got to realize, man, like 80% of these carriers out here that we're competing with, they don't work weekends, they don't work nights. So if you're sure you're going to be available on Monday, do not go out of service. Instead, set future availability for Monday. And this applies even outside of the Monday thing, right? Like today you finish a load and you want to have the rest of the day off. Don't go out of service and then go back in service tomorrow. Instead, put yourself available with future availability for tomorrow morning. Obviously, only do this if you are for sure 100% going to be available and going to be able to honor that. Right, but anytime you can have that future availability in there, you're giving yourself a chance to get booked. If you're out of service, no one is looking. You know, we consider you out of service, and loads wise, you don't even exist.
It's really important, guys. Really important. Like after 12 p.m. Friday, every second load that comes up is Monday pickup,
Right.
or every third load that comes. So you're losing the opportunity to get booked in advance if you don't put future availability. Make sure to do this every time. I sent a message this morning to 15 people that were out of service fully since Friday night without any, just note maybe Monday. So we tried to reach them over weekend as well. They did not update their availability. So please, guys, do that every time come Friday so you can increase your possibility of getting a load.
Yes, sir. All right, last week we had 318 stops. We had 17 unjustified late arrivals, invalid late arrivals. To those drivers, 301 time that were on time. Phenomenal job. We have some amazing drivers in the fleet when it comes to responsibility. We did it on the road show with Lance last week or so, and we were looking at his on-time performance. Since he's joined the company, I think he's literally at 100%. So we have some drivers that work very hard to be on time, to be responsible. I'll say this, man, those drivers are the ones that help us, you know, retain our premium carrier brand. Those drivers are why the customers are willing to pay more for loads. And ultimately, it's the responsibility. It's my responsibility, yours, and others in the dispatch team to ensure, you know, that we're doing everything we can to keep that premium carrier brand, to keep the loads as high pay as possible for drivers. And those drivers that are, you know, continuously and consistently underperforming in this field, despite the assistance and the guidance and support we give, you know, we it's our responsibility to either help them or ultimately remove them from the fleet. So 95% is a tad bit under what our target is. Our official goal is 98% on time. As you can see here, 17 late arrivals were unjustified, meaning that either driver did not provide communication or the reason for being late was invalid. The other 12% of the late arrivals were justified, meaning we were late, but there was prior communication and there was a valid reason.
Yes, sir. Nothing to add there except our goal is 98%. And for all those that are consistently late, we have a protocol in place for that because every other driver might hurt from us being late systematically because we can lose respect and integrity with customers.
Yeah, man, people don't like when we say that, but here's the thing. If you're building a championship team and you've got a Ronaldo and a Messi and other players ready to sacrifice, working so hard, um, going through the ups and the downs and then you've got a couple players that are just they either don't care or they're not able to play at that level. The coach is responsible to either train or replace those players who are underperforming. It's unfair to a LeBron James that his, teammates are simply not as invested into the game as he is, and therefore he can't win. Or any other example. In our case, we have some amazing drivers on the team who work so hard to be on time, to provide good communication. And then because another guy screws up when we are bidding for a Lance or a Melody or an Emmett who are great, they don't get that load because someone else screwed up with that customer recently. So we're going to continue to do what we need to do in the office, from support, guidance, to removing drivers who are continuously failing in this field, um, to ensure that everyone else has the best opportunity. Okay, quote, it always seems impossible until it is done. Um, Absolutely amazing quote.
By
What people,
Nelson Mandela.
yeah, what people do, man, when they're planning, what most people do is they look at what others have done. And then they say, well, this is what you can do because this is what already has been done. And then when someone comes with a radical idea, whether it's like a political movement, right, or a business idea, most people say, well, that can't be done. And when you ask why, they go, well, because it hasn't been done, right? Well, I mean, they say it in different ways because saying it that way opens up to how silly it sounds, but they'll say something like, well, he tried it, or because of this, or because of that. And that's actually the quote goes well with another thing we talked about earlier today, which is sort of a entrepreneurial movement, um, personal and professional development movement in Bosnia. You know, we talked about how right now that's kind of a limited mindset. There's not very many people that are out there trying to talk about these deeper things like professional development, like um, sharing like enormous goals. And I think that there's an opportunity to gather the people that are of that mindset and create, kind of a bigger movement. And we were kind of bouncing that, but I mean, often doing things that haven't been done. Part of the reason why it's difficult is because you don't have a blueprint, right? If you're following something that has been done, you know exactly what you need to do to replicate that, with obviously some tweaks. But for most part, you have a blueprint. When you're trying to do something that hasn't been done, you don't have a blueprint. You're creating the blueprint as you go. You don't know what kind of pit holes you're gonna encounter along the way. I love this quote. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot as well. Just to add up on what you just said, it is also important to understand who you can influence. In my opinion, with a lot of people, you're taking a fresh and new and great branch and trying to merge it with a already used up tree, if I can say it like that. Usually, people that take new ideas and get new ideas are young people, enthusiastic, and people that have not been in that. How do I say? Not been dealt cards that are already they already know how the game ends, and that's about it. So my thing is it's always better when you're trying to implement those ideas with younger population or easier not better. I'm not saying exclusively it's younger population. No, I would not say that. But it's younger population that is usually bringing that new age, new solutions, new resolutions, and so on. Let me give you an example. In Bosnia, a lot of the government agencies and a lot of the government institutions, you have people that have been working there 30 years plus, 20 years plus, seen one system, and that's about it. If you
Hmm.
offer them a change, they don't want to change, or you have 5 to 10 years up to my retirement. Why do you want to change?
Hmm.
And simply for something, sometimes you need just for certain opinions to die out by your opinion to prevailing with younger generations that will fill those holes.
Right.
So some, let's say professional development or customer service in government agencies, as you know, there is none. There's none. Something like that is not done at all. You get to someone that you are paying with your tax money, and they come to you and just trying to argue with you or something like that. And it's just, I think in US that wouldn't happen ever, but
No,
here
and
it's very common.
actually, that's just a problem with government agencies, period. Even in the US, government agencies have horrible customer service. Like if you go down to the DMV, which is the driver's license, place, it's like from one of those movies where there's a rude old lady that's, sitting there and just hates life. That's sort of the stereotypical type of visual you can expect. So I mean, I think that gets into the problems of like socialism and stuff like that, where it's like anything that is a socialist type of establishment, because the thing is, the government agencies don't have anyone they compete with, right? The government agencies have no reason to try to improve their customer service. At the end of the day, man, competition is the best thing in the world. Competition is what drives companies to improve customer service. Any company that doesn't have competition will not invest their money and resources into training their reps, will not, be willing to take a loss on a account for the greater gain. Will not be willing to do what's right, even if technically they don't have to, type of thing. But when there is competition, and then a company has to decide: do I want to lose? But do I want to potentially lose this customer, or do I want to do what's right? So yeah, I but that's kind of where the similarities end between the U.S. and Bosnia and probably the rest of the world. In the U.S., a lot of the other uh, uh, segments of business, private businesses and stuff like that, do value that customer service and professional development and all of that. But again, man, I think anywhere you go, there are people who are hungry to succeed, who are open to new ideas. And I think you pour your energy into finding and connecting with those people and extracting as much as you can out of them and giving them as much as you can. For the rest of the people, man, that are not about that, they're not about it, and you move on. But I have also seen way too much stagnation because we're waiting for something, right? So what you just said, I know you don't mean it this way, but there are people who would say, well, we can't do anything until the dinosaurs who are holding up who still want the old system, until they die off, we can't do anything. We just have to remain where. I know that's not what you mean, but there are people who have that view, which I think is even more harmful or just as harmful, right? Because it's not the case. Like, sure, there might be 90 dinosaurs, but there's also 10 people who are willing to.
Yeah, here's my explanation of what I said about that. So, for those of you who know biblical stories, there is a biblical story about Moses and his people when they wanted to enter the promised land, nowadays Palestine, and back then Palestine as well. They were fighting a tribe called Philistines, And when they came there, they fought the war, and Moses told them that they need to fight, and they said they don't want to fight. Let your God and yourself sort this out for us. So what God did, He got angry and He punished the Israelites for 40 years of circling around the Sinai desert in circles. So they did nothing in 40 years but circle around the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And it is said in explanation that, of course, all of those people that on that day they said, "Oh, go you and your God sort this out for us," until all of them died out, they couldn't enter Promised Land. And when the final one, the last one, died, they entered Promised Land again after 40 years. So it's not like, maybe it's not like even physical. Maybe until their idea of, oh, someone else, let someone else do this for us, not us. Until that idea died out, they didn't enter the Promised Land. But also until the carriers of that idea died out. That's my logic. Not just the people, but the idea that is prevalent.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I understand what you're saying. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. And yeah, I mean, back to the quote. I love the quote because again, it's like the things that have been done. There's a blueprint, and it's easy to replicate. Things that have not been done seem impossible. And you know those people that are willing to um, dare to think that it is possible after all, they're the ones that end up making that change. All right, so start your engines and your week with equal enthusiasm. Every mile you drive brings you closer to a new opportunity. Have a great Monday and a fantastic week ahead. One of our core values is bring enthusiasm to drivers, to every call, every interaction we have. We want to go in with enthusiasm to hopefully brighten the person's day when they connect with us. Um, the thing with I mean, every mile you drive brings you closer to a new opportunity. For us, on a operational and literal level, that's so true. Stay busy. You know, the way to get the next load is to complete the current one. The way to get to a better area is to get out of a bad area. Keep the wheels moving. You know, you're going to have new opportunities. You're going to have you're going to have money being accumulated. If you're stagnant, if you're just still, if you're not moving, you know, then there you can't really expect success. We talked about this quote. You know, there's blessing in movement, and for sure, you know, we believe that even on a dispatch level, you know, on days that are slow, that there's not many loads coming out and there's not many opportunities, we say just stay busy, man. Don't just sit there, do nothing. Make phone calls, call brokers, call drivers, uh, you know, reach out to loads that you don't even think are going to be possible. And then you're going to find something. But if you just kind of sit back and let the day come to you, um, it's not going to work out great.
100%.
All right,
I think
that's
that's
pretty
about
much
it.
it. Anything else you want to go over?
Nothing else, nothing new. Let's make a good week, guys.
All right.
Inshallah.
Salam alaikum, everyone. Thanks for watching. Come back tomorrow for, inshallah, a huge update on how today went.